Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we pull back the curtain on big business and find out if a company is truly healthy or just putting on a good show. Today we're diving deep into the latest filing from ADAPTIN BIO, a company looking to make waves in the biopharmaceutical world, especially when it comes to getting treatments into the brain. Get ready for some serious financial and strategic unpacking, and hey, if you want more of these deep dives into corporate filings, make sure you're subscribed and join our Discord community, linked in the description below. It's the best place to connect and share your insights. Alright, let's get straight to it. ADAPTIN BIO is making a move to register over 1.9 million shares of common stock, plus more than 2.2 million shares that can be bought through warrants. This is a big deal because it means a lot of existing shareholders are looking to sell. We're talking about a company that's still very much in the development stage, with their lead product candidate APTN 101 aimed at treating brain cancer. They've got a unique approach using the immune system to deliver therapies, which sounds promising but also comes with a whole lot of risk. The company's main headquarters are in Charlotte, North Carolina. They are pretty much a startup in the biotech space, formed from a merger which happened in early 2025. They're calling themselves an emerging growth company and a smaller reporting company, which means they get to follow some less strict reporting rules, which is something we always keep an eye on. Right off the bat, the summary tells us ADAPTIN is all about tackling tough diseases, especially those affecting the brain, by harnessing the body's own immune system. Their technology, called Bright, sounds pretty revolutionary, aiming to improve how drugs get to the brain, which is a huge hurdle in treating brain cancers and other central nervous system disorders. They have one lead product, a patent accepted by the FDA for a first-in-human study. Their strategy is ambitious: advance APTN 101 for glioblastoma, explore other cancer types with it, design new drug candidates for rare diseases, and acquire or license more delivery technologies. They're also planning to outsource capital-intensive operations, which is a common strategy for biotech startups to manage cash burn. Now let's peek at the risks, because this is where things get really interesting. The big red flag here is right at the top. We've generated no revenue from commercial sales to date, and our future profitability is uncertain. That's a pretty direct way of saying they aren't making any money from selling products yet. And then even more concerning, their auditor says there's substantial doubt about our ability to continue as a going concern. That's auditor speak for this company might not make it. They also have limited access to capital markets, and any new funding might be really dilutive to existing shareholders. Diving deeper into those risks, it's clear they are heavily reliant on raising more money. They expect to continue losing money for years as they develop their products. The whole drug approval process is long, expensive, and totally unpredictable. Then there are manufacturing risks, reliance on third parties, and the challenge of getting patients into clinical trials. It's a long road with many potential pitfalls. Let's talk about their stock. They have common stock and preferred stock authorized, but right now only common stock is issued and outstanding. Importantly, they have a lot of warrants outstanding, which means a lot of potential future sales of stock. The warrants have different exercise prices and expiration dates. This section confirms the big story of this filing. A large number of shares are eligible for future sale by selling stockholders. This means a lot of existing shareholders might be cashing out soon. They mention lockup agreements, but a significant chunk of shares aren't under those restrictions, which could flood the market. This section details how these shares will be sold. The selling shareholders have the power to decide when and how to sell, which adds another layer of uncertainty for the market. They're planning to sell at a set price until their stock gets quoted on the OTC markets, and then they might adjust based on market prices. Now let's look at the actual numbers. For the ADAPTIN BIO Operating Corporation standalone financials, we see very little activity in 2023. Just a dash of cash and some early expenses. Things get a bit more substantial in 2024. But still, their cash balance is tiny, just over 30 end of 2024. Their total expenses for that year were nearly $266 million, leading to an operating loss of over $241,000 in interest expense. Looking at their income statement for the years ended December 31, 2024 and 2023, the trend is clear and concerning. Research and development expenses jumped from about $510,000 in 2023 to over $1.8 million in 2023, to over $1.8 million in 2023 to nearly 2023. That's a massive 258% increase, showing they're investing heavily in development but also burning cash much faster. General and administrative expenses also more than doubled. Their total operating expenses shot up by 19.3%, and their total loss from operations went from about $877,000 in 2023 to nearly $2.66 million in administrative 24. That's a 19.3% jump in losses. The cash flow statement is equally telling. For 2024, they used over $649,000 in operating activities, a significant increase from the $394,000 used in 2023. Financing activities provided some cash through notes, but overall their cash position at the end of 2024 was still very low at just over $34,000. Under the notes to financials, they reiterate that they have a serious going concern issue. They acknowledge their cash isn't enough for the next 12 months. And they need more funding. They also detail a lot of complex financing like convertible liabilities, which add a layer of financial complexity and risk. They also mention a significant gain on extinguishment of debt of 3026,300 in note 1425, according to the ADAPTIN BIO in condensed consolidated financial statements. This gain comes from converting old debt into stock, which sounds like good news, but it masks the underlying cash burn. Let's switch gears to the Unite Acquisition 1 Corp. Financials, which represent the SPAC side of the merger. These numbers are even leaner as of December 31, 2019 TARSH, and a negative stockholders deficit of over $274,000. Their liabilities are mostly related to notes payable and related party amounts. For Unite, their operations in 2024 were minimal, with just general and administrative expenses totaling about $55,000, leading to a loss from operations of the same amount. Their interest expense was also small, around $5,700. Unite's cash flows show very little activity, mostly revolving around managing related party payables and some very small note transactions. These notes highlight that Unite was essentially a shell company before the merger, with no real operations. The real story here is how the merger reshaped the financials. Now, for the merged entity, ADAPTIN BIO Inc. The pro forma financials give us a clearer picture. For the first 3 months of 2025, their combined operating expenses were about $853,000, with general and administrative costs making up the bulk of it, showing a significant increase of $2,502 $2,659 to zero thanks to a gain on extinguishment of debt of $36,345. The combined net loss for this period was roughly $853,000. Interest expense was effectively eliminated post-merger due to debt conversions, dropping from $72,645. The combined net loss for this period was roughly $853,000. Debt of $30,2659 to zero thanks to a gain on extinguishment of debt of $30,26,345. Their interest expense was effectively eliminated post-merger due to debt conversions, dropping from $72,604. Looking at the pro forma for the full year 2024, the picture is stark. Private ADAPTIN's R&D expenses were hefty $1.8 million, with Unite adding about $155,000 in G&A. This led to a combined loss from operations of almost $27 million for 2024 before even considering the post-merger interest adjustments. The pro forma combined net loss for 2024 stood at $2.9 million for 2024, stood at $2.9 million. These notes explain that the merger was treated as a reverse recapitalization, meaning Private ADAPTIN was the real business and Unite was just the vehicle to go public. The historical numbers from Unite are minimal because they were a blank check company. The pro forma numbers essentially reflect Private ADAPTIN's expenses and scale, but now as part of a public entity with associated increased reporting and compliance costs. Coming down the line, moving into part 2, we see the breakdown of the other expenses of issuance and distribution. Mostly standard legal and accounting fees for the registration process, around $85,000. The rest of this section is mainly legal boilerplate about indemnification and recent sales of unregistered securities, which are essentially detailing the fundraising and stock issuances that led to where they are now. Finally, the signatures section shows the key executives, meaning Mokshail J. Roberts, Simon C. Pededy and Timothy L. Comanes are signing off on these numbers. This is the part where they officially declare everything to be accurate to best of their knowledge. So what's the verdict on ADAPTIN BIO? On one hand, they're tackling a really difficult area of medicine with a potentially groundbreaking technology. The initial clinical progress with ADAPTIN 101 is a positive sign. However, the financial picture is precarious. They are burning through cash at a significant rate with no revenue and have serious going concern issues according to their auditors. The substantial number of shares eligible for resale from existing stockholders presents a real risk of dilution and downward pressure on the stock price. This is a high risk, high reward scenario typical of early stage biotech, but without significant upcoming funding, their path forward is incredibly challenging. Alright, that's our deep dive into ADAPTIN Bio's latest filing. What do you think about their chances of success given the risks and their strategy? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this analysis helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe for more corporate deep dives. And don't forget to join our Discord community to keep the conversation going. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Corporate Decoders.